So every day you hear these numbers, especially in COVID by the numbers. Earlier on in the show, you hear about case counts. But behind those numbers, there is a story. One group is hoping to collect and share as many of those stories as possible with a new initiative. With that, we join CityNews reporter Erica Natividad about this project. And that's what we try to do. Sometimes, Erica, people will glaze over when they see those numbers. And unfortunately, these are lives that we are talking about and some lives lost.
Absolutely, Mel. There's a story behind each of those numbers, and really the scope of the impact of even just one person having COVID-19 is so much greater than just that one case. So this project, it's a website called mycovidstory.ca. It got my attention recently. And what it is, it's a place where Ontarians can submit their own personal stories of how COVID-19 has impacted their lives. It launched just over a week ago. Within the first week, the organizers behind that website were able to collect about 100 submissions, and they are educators, they're frontline workers, they are parents, they are people who have lost loved ones, all sharing their stories, all of them truly heartbreaking if you go onto that website and read just some of them. So the organizers behind it, they're all volunteers. It's a team of about a dozen people, and the way it started was with a tweet. Dr. Ben Fine, who's a radiologist, kind of put a call out and said, hey, who wants to turn their rage into action? And these volunteers kind of came together. They are health advocates, they are web designers, engineers, and it's an open source project, so they're all able to work remotely and kind of come together to make this a possibility. And while they want to humanize the numbers, they also want to affect change. So anyone who submits their story has the option of allowing the volunteers behind it to forward that story to their local elected representative to hopefully make change happen. And that's their goal here. So it's sort of gaining momentum. It's gaining attention. And Mel, I want to tell you about one story here, because what adds to this whole initiative is that one of the organizers who sort of volunteered his time and said, hey, I want to help out, little did he know that he himself would have his own story to tell. So his name is Angelo. You're going to hear from him in just a moment. But just to give you some background on this situation, he's a web designer, and a day after the website launched, he started getting some symptoms. He had a cough. He had a sinus headache. He started just feeling unwell. Then his parents actually tested positive for COVID-19. And so he said, oh no, I should get tested myself. He tested positive for COVID-19 as well. His brother tested positive for COVID-19. So the whole family has it now. And again, some more background on him. He's Filipino. His mother is an essential worker. We know that racialized communities have been hardest hit with this pandemic. So he spoke to me a little bit about his fear with this diagnosis. Here's more from Angelo Giomatteo.
Why it's so scary to me is that I have 3 underlying health conditions. I have asthma, I have diabetes, and I have mental illness. And those are listed by the government as comorbidities. And I am afraid, I am absolutely terrified that those comorbidities will catch up to me, and that COVID will kill me, really. That I'm going to go to the ER and that's it. I'm not going to see my family and friends. So it's terrifying. But I know now that I feel like I have to take that rage and put it into action.
And Mel, he says he doesn't know how his parents got the virus, he doesn't know how he got it, though he did say his parents did get their first dose of Pfizer. They did get sick, and so he's hoping, obviously, that having their first dose, that's going to minimize the impact of the virus and hopefully keep them out of the hospital.
You mentioned, Erica, that it's not just about sharing the stories, it's about affecting change, right? Creating change. So has there been any response from elected officials to any of these stories?
Yeah, so the group tell me that there has been some response. They've been able to get elected officials pay attention to their Twitter accounts specifically. So some of them have been retweeting and sort of bringing notice to this. So they're hoping that it's going to gain momentum. Again, it only launched just over a week ago, and so it's still in its infancy sort of right now. They're expecting to get many more stories sort of as this progresses, and now, we're in this third wave, so there's many more stories to tell for sure. Tonight on City News, we're actually going going to hear some more of these stories, the heartbreaking stories, and you're going to hear from them about what they want to do from here and how they want to improve and expand this project, Mel.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible story and project here. Thank you so much for this, Erica. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
It is 8:12 right now. We're going to check in with Steph to see what the roads have in store for you this Friday. Steph, good morning.